Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Discriminating Gamer. Say, what was Otto von Bismarck's favorite song by Queen? Under Prussia. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to go ahead and take a look at Bismarck Solitaire Deluxe from Worthington Games.
We'll get back to the review in just a moment. I want to take a minute to ask you to check out my other channel, that is Cody Carlson, PhD, where we talk about history, books on history, military history. I even post some of my lectures for my classes on there. Please check that out. Please subscribe to that channel. And now, back to the review.
Bismarck Solitaire Deluxe from Worthington Games is a boxed board game based on their Bismarck Solitaire book Wargame, which I reviewed about a year or so ago very favorably. I enjoyed the game, but let's go ahead and take a look at this version. Bismarck Solitaire Deluxe comes with a board and three German naval pieces. You have the Bismarck, the Prinz Eugen, and a German U-boat. Now, what you're going to do at the beginning of the game is set them up in certain places according to setup instructions, and you're also going to have a specific mission scenario. You're going to go ahead and select which mission scenario you're going to play. Now, the game also comes with an easel on which you can put your your chart for your scenario. You've also got a board that you, depending on again what you're playing, has various British warships as well as to track the Bismarck, the Prinz Eugen, and the German U-boat. Now, the U-boats and the Prinz Eugen and the Bismarck also have kind of fuel reserves, so they can go further. Normally, they have kind of a set number of spaces they can move, and then they also kind of have a damage track beneath them. Once you've selected your scenario, it will tell you exactly how long the scenario is, how many rounds. You can keep track of the round with a cube on a round marker. But the very first thing you do every round is you roll a black and a white die. You roll the dice, and then you essentially check that against the scenario board. Now, the scenario board has all these different events. Depending on what you rolled, it's going to tell you what event happens. So you're going to look at the event. The event has a small map of the area, and it's got the grid system. Now, if any of your ships are within that grid, then something will affect them. Either the British will come after them, or some other kind of event will occur in which your ships may have to engage in combat or not. Now, if your ships are not in kind of the affected grid zones, nothing happens. But if they are, then you immediately have to go ahead and do whatever it is. Now, first of all, airstrikes, if there's any kind of airstrikes, you have to play them out first. You essentially have to roll them out. And then your U-boat actually has the opportunity to attack. If your U-boat is in the same location with a British ship, you can go ahead and you can roll the die. I think it's on a 1, 2, or 3. You strike the British ship. You can move their damage marker on there. Or if ever you roll the 4, 5, or 6, then the U-boat actually gets hit. So it's kind of a 50-50 shot with your U-boat whether or not it's going to take damage. Now, if ever the Bismarck is in combat with the enemy, first thing you can do is you can just kind of choose to just kind of roll straight and try to attempt to hit it. It's usually again a 50-50 shot, all things being equal, about whether or not you will hit your enemy. But you'll roll the German ships before you roll the British ships. But you do have the option, however, for the Bismarck and the Prinz Eugen, you can go ahead and have tactics. You can get close in, you can get far away, and that's going to either increase damage against your enemies or mitigate damage against you. But you can go ahead and you can kind of choose to engage in some of these specific tactics. Now, you go ahead, and if you score a hit, you're going to be moving the British ships that you're fighting against. You're going to be moving their attack value down, or their strength values down. But then, once you're finished, then the British will attack you. Their heaviest ship's going to attack the Bismarck. Their second heaviest ship will attack the Prinz Eugen if it's present. And then other ships will also attack the Bismarck. So you're going ahead, you're rolling, you're trying to determine if you're taking any damage, and then you've got to mark those on your board as well, the damage you're taking. Now, if you ever want to break off combat, you kind of have to roll to decide if you can break off combat. Sometimes you can do so, but you're going to take hits. Sometimes you can get away free. Sometimes you can't get away. Now, the British, too, if ever their combined strength of the ships in the combat is less than the combined strength of the Bismarck and the Prinz Eugen, or just German strength in general, they're going to try to break off, and they too have to roll a die to see whether or not they can break off or if they take damage during the fight. Now, if you do succeed in sinking enemy ships, you can go ahead then and you can claim that number of victory points at the end of the game. After you've finished a battle, either by victory or by escaping or by the other side escaping, you can go ahead and do movement. Now, as I say, each ship has its own movement level, and I think this U-boat moves, I think, 1. Prince Eugen, I think, moves 3. Bismarck moves 2. But you can, again, spend your fuel reserves in order to move 1 additional space if you want to do that. Now, after you've moved, you go ahead, you end the round, you move the turn tracker 1 space forward, and then you begin a new round by rolling for a new event. So essentially, that's it. You're rolling for the events, you're engaging in combat or whatever the event asks you to do. You are fighting, you are breaking off combat, you are sinking enemy ships, you're taking damage, and then, of course, critically, you are moving to a new location. Now, what you have to do in order to win is meet your specific objectives of your scenario, which oftentimes mean you have to take down so many enemy ships, and then critically, you have to return to port safely. If you can do these things successfully and meet the objectives of your scenario, then you win Bismarck Solitaire Deluxe. So, as I say, I was a big fan of the book Wargame. Now, let me be very, very clear. There is a lot of chance. This game is all about the die rolls. There's a ton of chance here. But this game is fairly quick, it's light, and why I really enjoy the book board game and why I really enjoy this physical board game is I love the story it tells. You know, you're in the middle of these firefights and you're making these decisions. Do I want to close in? Do I want to pull away? And then where do I want to go? Where do I want to go to seek out, you know, convoys or seek out certain ships for battle? Now, again, it's completely random, so you don't have a lot of agency in that sense. But yet the story is still so compelling. It's so interesting. I really enjoyed the book War Game, and it's fun to play this on an actual tabletop with little pieces. It's fun, too, in that you're only really moving the German pieces. There's no physical representation of the British ships. There doesn't need to be. It's all just kind of abstracted out, but it is so much fun. Now, I do have one complaint. The Prince Eugen is the side of the ship is actually printed upside down, which I was not a big fan of because you got your ships going and then the Prince Eugen's upside down. It's like, okay, whatever. But still, having said that, it's a minor complaint. Really enjoy this game. It is a tremendous amount of fun. You know, if you can't get a hold of this one, try to find the book War Game because, again, it's just a great way to have a great story and engage in the kind of this World War II naval battle. Nothing too deep, a lot of chance, but incredible fun. Recommendation for the discriminating gamer for Bismarck Solitaire Deluxe is buy it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for joining us today on The Discriminating Gamer. As always, we ask you to please leave a comment for us on YouTube, on Board Game Geek, on our Facebook page, or on thediscriminatinggamer.com. We'd ask you to please like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter. I'd also ask you, ladies and gentlemen, to please check out my other YouTube channel, that is Cody Carlson, PhD, where we talk about military history, books on history. I'm currently uploading my lectures on there, so please check that out. Please subscribe to that channel. That would mean a lot to me. And please leave a thumb to this video on Board Game Geek. That helps us out a lot as well. Now, if you are a fan of the channel, if you really enjoy the content we put out here, I would humbly ask you to click on the Super Thanks button here on the YouTube page and leave a tip. Again, we would really appreciate it. You know, Otto von Bismarck had a lot of great quotes. One of my favorite is, if you want to fool the world, tell the truth.
Please somebody help me on my feet again, and I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know where I've been. Please somebody help me on the solid ground. It's a long time, and I'll be dying. Once a year I wind up in the band. God knows that I love the
Southwest Pacific Theater, down to Papua New Guinea.
Ooh, good shot.